Hello, good morning. So I've had a lot of phone calls regarding my WhatsApp status. So I decided to make this note just to save me the headache of having to tell the story over and over again to everyone that called. So basically, the incident happened, but just to give a bit of a background, on my estate, there's a duplex that is up for sale. So my gate man that you saw on my status, Eric, part of his duty is to show clients, prospective buyers, round when they come, and then also to watch over the place and be sure that it's well kept. So on Sunday, he drew my attention to the fact that there was a broken glass in one of in the master's bedroom, that I should follow him to take a look at it so we can arrange and fix it. So I said, well, this is not perfect time for me. We'll do it some other time. That was on Sunday. And then on Monday, he beckoned on me again to say, oh, Oga, you've not come to look at that place. You need to look at it. You need to see it and be sure that clients will not complain. So at that point, I felt like, okay, what is this guy talking about? I said, Eric, please, this is not urgent. I mean, that is something we can fix anytime. It's not a priority right now. So just let it be. Then yesterday, I got back and I was about entering the house. He raised the same point again to say, oh, okay, you've not looked at this stuff that I'm telling you. You know, it's important that we fix it now before people complain. Now, at this point, ordinarily, if I was being sensitive, I should have known that something was off because the pressure was much. I sensed it that this was pressure. So I just dropped my stuff and I followed in, okay, please, let's just look at this thing and let's get it done with. So we entered, he opened the gate, we got in, went in through the sitting room, and then we went to the back through the kitchen door. And I saw that the electric fence pole at the back was bent, and then there was a big iron on the ground. So it was obvious that it was that iron that was used to bend the electric fence pole. It was an indication that someone tried to break into the apartment. So because nothing else could have done that to the pole. So I told him, I said, well, please pick this iron and throw away. That if anyone is even trying to break into this place, it's a waste of time because it's an empty apartment. Why would anybody do that? So he said, okay, so can we just go up and look at the glass? But for some strange reasons, I just said, don't worry, no use. And I left. So I headed for the exit door through the sitting room. And just as I was about to get close to the exit door, he ran past me and jammed the door. And then the sitting room became dark. I was shocked, like, what's happening? So initially I thought it was probably, just any other thing. What I didn't know was that he hid a 2x4 or 2x3 plank in the visitor's toilet. So the next thing I saw was this guy came out with the plank or the wood and landed it on my legs. So he went straight for my two legs, started hitting, and I fell on the ground, and then, started hitting. So I had to use my hand to like protect my head. He hit me about 6 times, and I was just weak. I was shocked, and I was like, Eric, what is happening? What's wrong with you? And then, like, oh, what am I doing? Oh, what am I doing? But Oga, you must die. Oga, you must die. And I'm like, Eric, what is wrong with you? Eric, what is wrong with you? And at this point, since I was already down, the next thing I saw was he raised his shirt, and then I didn't know he hid a knife behind at his back, and he brought the knife out, and he came for me. 3 times he narrowly missed stabbing my stomach. And I at that point I knew, okay, this is death staring me in the face, and I have to fight for myself. So I summoned up all the courage. I stood up, and of course I started dragging the knife. I started dragging the knife with him. We struggled for a long time. Eventually I was able to get the knife from him. This guy had the power of a madman, if you know what I mean. So I managed to take the knife from him, and at that point, since the knife was off his hand, the next thing he came for my throat. He started strangling me. He held my Adam's apple and was just squeezing it, and then I was going out of breath, And I had the knife in my hand. Honestly, I could have stabbed him, but I just had this consciousness that if I stabbed him, and God forbid anything happens, nobody would believe my side of the story. So I held back on stabbing him, but I just held on to the knife. And when I was beginning to lose breath because of the strangulation, I just remember something we used to do as kids when we fight. We call it kolobe. You put the person's neck, wrapped on, your elbow, right? So that was what I did. I started squeezing his neck very hard. So at that point, he too was running out of breath. He started biting. He bit my hand. The mark is still there, But even with the biting, I held on to what I was doing. So at that point, he released me, because he needed to breathe well himself. So when he released me, I also released him. I pushed him, and then I ran towards the kitchen door and tried getting out. And of course, he came after me, and he went straight for the key to lock the door. As God would have it, the key didn't work. He tried, it didn't work. So the struggle continued. I managed to get outside the building. I got to the back, and when we were already outside, the first thing I did was to throw the knife off the fence to the other property, just to be sure it's out of his reach, and then also I'm not tempted to use it. And then the next thing he did was he went for that pole, that iron pole that was on the ground. He went for it, and he was coming to me with it. At that point, I started running out, trying to make my way towards the gate. So when he saw I was running out, he dropped the pole and came for me, pulled my shirt, and started trying to drag me back into the main, building. And he was pulling so hard, So at this point, I was really, really tired, and I just started screaming, "Help! Help! Eric wants to kill me! Help!" And another miracle happened. My wife heard from our house. How that happened is a miracle. So when she heard my voice, of course she recognized my voice. She quickly ran out. By the time she got that, she now realized that the gate man had locked all of them inside from the main gate, so they couldn't come out. So she had to quickly get the spare key, threw it to someone who was outside, and then they opened up for them. So by this time, I was now running out towards the gate. I don't know what happened. I tripped and I fell. And then this guy came on me, trying to strangle me. But as God would have it, some persons that were passing by, who probably heard my voice, and with the help of my wife, some guys just came in, and they were the ones that pulled him off my top. And for like 30 minutes, I was just in shock. I could not move my legs. I could not move my hands. I was just on the ground. They just told me to just rest your head, don't say a word. And I was there. By this point, the guy staggered outside and was asking for water. Oh, they should give him water. They should give him water, Also, I think he was running out of breath too. So he was asking for water. My wife even almost gave him water, not knowing what was happening, So eventually, of course, I managed to relay the story. And then, of course, those that saw him on top of me, they managed to take me back to my house. So took me to my sitting room. I was there for like an hour on the floor. I was panting, so much palpitations. It was crazy. Like I was running out of breath. I was just there taking 1 minute at a time. About an hour and a half thereabout later, I was able to regain myself. I had water. I had a cold water bath, and that was it. Now, this guy started working with me, just a bit of a background, in February. Now, because of the whole Boko Haram stuff, sometime in January, I released my Aboki gate man and decided to take someone from the south. He's from River State. And I didn't just pick him from the streets. I actually got him through this civilian security outfit. I'm not going to mention the name so I don't spoil their business. But so it wasn't just a random person that I picked from the gate. And so this is a living, domestic staff. And the shock is, why would he do it? Why? Well, we got him arrested yesterday. He's currently in detention. And investigations are still ongoing, but he confessed overnight that he actually wanted to kill me and then come to the house, kill my wife, and then ransack the house for whatever he can get, and then run back to his village. That was what he wanted to do. Although before this confession, his first statement was that, he didn't want to kill me. He just wanted to threaten me so I can transfer money to his account. So we don't know what the real story is. But this was premeditated. It was well calculated. Later in the evening, when the police came to look at the incident scene, we now discovered that the CCTV camera, my CCTV camera that covers that entry, that could have had things recorded, he actually tampered with it. So meaning he had this planned over time. I'm still in shock, but I thank God for life. I thank God for his grace, because I couldn't sleep last night. The scenes kept replaying in my head, how I was so close to being stabbed to death. That would have been a very painful death. But I thank God for his mercy. But this is a message to every one of us. We can't be too careful. This is someone we feed, we clothe, we do everything for. He's got access to 24-hour light. He's okay, he's comfortable. We're nice to him. And yet he could conceive all of these things in his heart. So, I can't explain it. But I thank God for life. Thank God.